Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am so incredibly honoured to be sitting here today with a voice that truly defines the word soulful. For those who may somehow not know who you are you?
Hi, Calvin. My name is Eva Cassidy. I was a singer and a guitarist, and I just loved to interpret music, whether it was jazz, folk, blues, or gospel. I never really liked being put in a box. I just sang what moved me.
That versatility is exactly why your music still resonates so much. Let's go back to the beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on February 2nd, 1963, at the Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C.
And what was your given name at birth?
It was Eva Marie Cassidy.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
It was just a simple, beautiful name my parents chose. My father, Hugh, had Irish roots, and my mother, Barbara, was from Germany. Eva felt like a name that bridged those worlds nicely.
What was your hometown like growing up?
We moved to Bowie, Maryland when I was quite young. It was a pretty typical suburban area back then, but our house was always filled with something creative. We weren't too far from the woods, and I loved being out in nature.
What was your family life like?
It was very musical and artistic. My dad played the bass and cello, and he actually started teaching me the guitar when I was about 9. My siblings and I were all encouraged to be creative. We were a tight-knit group, even if I was a bit of a shy one.
What kind of kid were you?
I was definitely the quiet one. I was very sensitive and spent a lot of time drawing, painting, and practicing my music. I felt a very deep connection to animals and the outdoors. I wasn't really interested in being the center of attention. I just wanted to create things.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
Oh, the spotlight! Even though I loved music, the idea of performing in front of people was terrifying to me for a long time. I also worried a lot about the environment and the world around me. I felt things very deeply.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
I wanted to be an artist. Whether that was through painting, sculpture, or music, I just knew I had to spend my life making things that were beautiful or meaningful.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
Art class was my sanctuary. I also enjoyed singing in the choir, where I could blend in with other voices. That felt safer than standing out on my own.
What was your first job?
Aside from doing some backup vocals and playing in local bands like Stonehenge, I worked at a plant nursery. I loved working with my hands and being around growing things. It was peaceful.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I'm not sure I felt different in a superior way, but I realized early on that I didn't care about what was popular on the radio. I would hear a song, maybe a gospel track or an old folk tune, and I would feel it in my soul in a way that other kids my age didn't seem to. I had a very specific vision for how music should feel.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Meeting Chris Biondo. He was a producer and bassist who had a studio. I went in to do some backup vocals for another group, and he heard me and encouraged me to record my own stuff. That partnership really gave me the platform to finally record the songs I loved.
What was your biggest break?
While I didn't see massive fame during my life, recording the live album, Live at Blues Alley, in 1996 was a huge moment. We had to pay for it ourselves, but it captured the energy of my live performances in a way that the studio hadn't yet.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
The industry was the biggest struggle. Labels didn't know what to do with me. They'd say, "You're too jazz for folk," or "too folk for pop." They wanted me to pick one style, but I couldn't. I just wanted to sing good songs.
Did you ever consider quitting?
I don't think I could ever quit music because it was part of who I was, but I certainly got frustrated with the business side of it. There were many times I was happy just staying in my garden or working on my paintings and leaving the professional singing behind.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
Nature and quiet. I needed time away from the noise to find the center of a song. I would listen to a track over and over until I could find my own way into it.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I would have stayed an artist or worked with plants, maybe a landscape designer or a full-time painter.
What was your life like before fame?
It was very modest and simple. I spent my days working, practicing, and hanging out with a few close friends and family. I lived for the music, not the trimmings of success.
How did relationships change after success?
Since most of my recognition came later, my relationships stayed very grounded. My family and my small circle of musical collaborators were always my rock.
Did fame bring happiness?
I didn't really experience fame while I was here. I experienced the joy of finishing a recording or having a great night at a small club. That was where my happiness came from, the work itself.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Some people thought I was just difficult because I wouldn't let a record label change my sound. I wasn't being difficult. I was being true to the music.
What was your darkest moment?
It was the period when I realized I was becoming very ill. It was hard to have so much music still inside me and feel my body slowing down.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My parents, definitely. My dad for the music and my mom for her strength. Musically, people like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder. Anyone who sang with pure, honest emotion.
What was life like in your final years?
It was a bit of a whirlwind of emotions. I was trying to stay positive and keep creating as much as I could. I performed one last time at Blues Alley to say thank you to the people who supported me.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was always looking for the next song to interpret. We were constantly recording bits and pieces. I just wanted to get as much down on tape as possible.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on November 2nd, 1996, at my home in Bowie, Maryland.
What happened?
I had been diagnosed with melanoma, and it eventually spread. It was a very quick process from when we found out how serious it was.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was actually quite a good athlete when I was younger. I did gymnastics and was very physically active before I focused entirely on art and music.
What was your most unique habit?
I would often get lost in my own world when I was painting or coloring. I could spend hours just focused on the shade of a single leaf or a shadow.
What was your favorite food?
I loved simple, earthy foods. My mom's German cooking was always a favorite.
What was your favorite book?
I leaned toward books about art and nature, but I loved anything that spoke to the human spirit.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Oh no, I wasn't a competitive person at all. I felt like there was room for everyone's voice.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Probably the times in the studio with Chris Biondo when we'd get into silly arguments about a single note or a guitar lick. We'd laugh about it later, but in the moment, we were both so passionate.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Don't chase success. Chase the feeling you get when you do something you love perfectly. If you are true to your own heart, the right people will eventually hear you.
Eva, this has been truly special. Do you have any closing remarks about the stories you shared that you would like to share with our listeners before we sign off?
Just that I'm so happy my music has found its way to so many people. It's a bit of a miracle to me. Thank you for listening to my songs and for letting me share a bit of my heart today. Thank you so much for having me, Calvin.
Thank you, Eva. It was a dream to talk with you. Today we heard from the legendary Eva Cassidy about her life in Maryland, her refusal to be pigeonholed by the music industry, and her deep love for art and nature. It's a reminder that true talent eventually finds the light. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.